Welcome back to the Substitutes. We're doing a Matchday 4 review for the Premier League. And there's only one place to start. Majid, how big was your erection when you saw Ronaldo return on the pitch?
It only
I
got
know.
bigger. It starts up there and then it just gets bigger and big. I mean, the guy scores
I'm sorry I asked.
he scores a poaching goal, which is just to get it out of the system. And then
Hmm.
there's round two, which is what the potential, the Luke Shaw to Ronaldo, just the things that could happen. And it's you could literally see throughout the squad, they all played like superstars because they were playing with a superstar. Like they all played as they should on a day to day. But this was with, like, you could see the confidence in the mindset. You could see they're all trying. You're talking about my boners. Talk about theirs. They were clearly trying to impress the new girl. Like,
I thought Newcastle though were like this was a side that we struggle against, the low block, and they had every single person behind the ball. Gaurav, how bad was your diarrhea? I know you can't stand it.
It was kind of bad, dude. But at the same time, I took some solace in the fact that like you guys still didn't look like you had a midfield at times. Like it was great. Like when Newcastle did break, it kind of looked fantastic. I was like, oh, here we go. This is the United I know and love. There we go. But then look, I mean, at the end of the day, you going forward, you were fucking scintillating. Like it was absolutely fantastic play. Ronaldo looked every bit the legend that you thought you were getting, which is, I guess, fantastic for you, really shit for the rest of the Premier League. But, I think now the challenge for Ollie is he's got this amazing gift from God, which is Cristiano Ronaldo, for as long as his career lasts. And how do you use that momentum? How do you use that inspiration? Like Majid said, you have all these players that are clearly erect and walking around with their pencil dicks hard and out for this gorgeous, legendary Miss Universe of a fucking supermodel football player. So, it's up to Ollie to take that momentum, take that energy, and, create a trophy out of that and make sure
this
that the level doesn't drop.
the same Gaurav who was saying that no, you guys have to win a championship and you don't need the midfield is now saying, oh, you guys look really
Yeah.
bad going backwards. I just want to point that out. Secondly, he is right. We looked atrocious going backwards, and that confidence that you have going forwards is not there going backwards. Varane himself was caught out of positions once or twice. Um, but going forward, so when I was watching the game at the 70th minute, they were sort of passing side to side, and they were up 2-1. And I was thinking, with this attack, you need to be up 3-4-1. And thankfully, they went and did that. So they might be able to paper it, but against Champions League games where you need someone to really like slow the roll backwards, there's question marks. And with
Oh,
Ole, we did all of that. We did the video last time. We did the video before all of Sky Sports and stuff covered Ole, the pressure. We covered that, by the way.
we'll put a link in the video below. We'll move on from United, though I wish we could talk about them forever, to a relegation battle. This one was a really big game in the Premier League, Arsenal and Norwich. I think it had really huge implications actually for Arsenal. Majid, you really, really want to get this out of your system, I can tell.
It's a because I watched like a bunch of channels and like fan channels and stuff, and it's such a double-edged sword victory. They themselves weren't particularly happy. They should have been. So United went on to score 3-1, 4-1. Liverpool, who we'll talk about, ended up scoring three. The top six clubs, when you're up, you need to be up 2-3-4-0 in this league. 1-0 is not a statement. In fact, it's a double-edged sword. You got the win, you got the 3 points. Do you kick the can down the road for Arteta? Like, that question mark is still there. It wasn't a convincing win. It wasn't. Their signings did pretty decently. So like there's some hope, there's a glimmer of hope, and he might do what you said before, which is stabilize it. But that top six, which is for me Arsenal standard is top six, I'm still very question mark. And this win did not help matters at all.
Well, I disagree, and Gaurav, I don't think Arsenal are standard top six, and tell me why.
Yeah, I just think when you look at the way they played that game as well, like it you wouldn't really say that Arsenal were all over Norwich, or Norwich are on the back foot with like 10 men behind the ball the entire game. Like, you would say that it was a pretty decent game, right? There was a lot of punches exchanged, and like Arsenal came out on top and probably had the better punches. But at the end of the day, I'd really say to Arsenal fans, like, every time you win, it's kind of like, fuck. And then every time you lose or draw, it's like, fuck. So
Seriously.
it's kind of like, I would hate to be an Arsenal fan right now. But like, honestly, I think, dude, stay with Arteta at this point. Like, you already don't have a transfer window. So if you bring someone else in, what are they going to do? And it'll be entertaining for us. We really want to see all or nothing with Arteta. I want that. I want
Sure.
that.
I'm down.
Perfectly a very entertaining thought. Looking forward to that. Please release something really juicy. Now we're gonna.
Unless you fire Arteta and somehow manage to get in Mourinho at Arsenal, I will watch that fucking season over it.
That has been foretold. The prophecy shall be fulfilled. Inshallah. One day. We have
One day.
our second or third video was this. So like, yo,
I
if
really,
this
really
happens,
want to.
I want the internet to blow up though. Then you guys have to like, Reddit has to be like, yo, these guys and all of that.
We go.
So now we're gonna move on. It was a really good weekend for Arsenal because not only did they win, Spurs lost, and that means everything to Arsenal. So Crystal Palace. I want to say they spanked them. In truth, after Tanganga got sent off, Zaha went into overdrive, and Edouard scored a couple of goals. So, how enjoyable was that watching Spurs fall apart? Anyone?
For me, it's always fun watching Spurs fall apart. I hate the fact that they're darlings of the English media for absolutely no good fucking reason.
Location.
They're
Exactly.
a dirty team. This red card was probably overdue for a lot of shit that they'd done last season and the season before that they didn't even get booked for. So, like, fuck it, dude. They reserve every fucking red card that they get. And, I think it's poetic that it's an ex-invincible man that, is at another London club, and he's serving it to you. And not just serving it to you, 3-0's a bitch slap, right? So, good for Palace, man, and good start under Viera. I think they have a lot of good things to look forward to. And I think now all the positivity that Spurs fans had, going into that international break is kind of melting away. Because look, those first 3 games aren't like enough to judge the season on. But when you get a man sent off and then you collapse like that, and it happens to be Patrick Viera, there's a lot of salt there. There's a lot of salt. So now you're going to see a bit of negativity. You're going to have a little anciness amongst the Spurs fan base.
They're going to Spurs it up.
It's good.
I like how their goal difference is now 0.
Yeah, this is exactly where
For me, it was less about Tottenham losing and more about Vieira winning. Honestly, I think this was a statement game for him. This was his introduction into sort of EPL. I want to see if he can continue this form, like as a manager, and if the side itself can continue winning. Tottenham, this is why they're Tottenham. Every time they go through 3 wins in a row, they're going to lose to Crystal Palace, and that's not a dig on Crystal Palace. Again, Vieira, Invincible. There's a lot of lineage behind that, so don't don't fuck with that. But I don't know. Like, this was a statement game for him and Tottenham. This is why they're not Big Six. That's it.
I just want to add to something that Matt just said about Patrick Viera. Crystal Palace, out of all the teams that are not quite in the top 6, but kind of want to get there with like Wolves, Villa, and a couple of other clubs, Crystal Palace and Wolves have always had that like giant killing reputation. They get wins off of like Liverpool. They'll get wins off of United. They'll get wins off of Chelsea and City. They've done it repeated. Like, they've actually decided a lot of title races if you really look back, right? But when you look at like what Patrick Viera is as a player and what he used to be, he was that guy that wanted to live up to every challenge, right? If he was going off against Roy Keane, it made his game better. And if you put that with that giant killing mentality of Crystal Palace, I'm going to love every big game that they have this season, dude. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see how he gets on, and wish him the best. Um,
And by the way, I'm just looking at his Wikipedia. He was coach, manager of New York City FC for a while. He was manager for Nice. And then he joined Crystal Palace. So it's not a bad, like, it's not immediate, you're
Yeah.
here. Like, there's been a nice, like, tuck, like,
transition.
Yeah. And he's been
from like a
educated
villager league to a
job
farmers
in
league to
City.
like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's not like all A's trajectory, which a lot of pundits seem to hate. We'll move on though now. Watford and Wolves. I have to drop it in there. I had to drop it in there. Watford and Wolves.
Wolves finally came through. It's been like they've had 3 decent, solid weeks, and they finally put some in the back of the net. It's again, this is like Crystal Palace. I want to see them put a couple, like string a couple wins together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed.
I think for Wolves, it's always been like, can you string together 3 decent fucking wins? And like, if they start to do that, you're looking at a team that's competing for top 6. If they're not doing that, you're looking at a team that'll finish top 10, top 12, and you're good. That's it. So like for Wolves to actually like do something with this season, you have to have some consistency.
Well, a lot of these sides are also sort of in transition where they can now see the top 6 ambition. Where they were perennially like 9 to 15, they are now thinking we can squeeze into that Arsenal Tottenham void. Because that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, we'll move on to Brett. We're just gonna bash those two clubs any chance we get. Brentford and Brighton.
Hard luck, Brentford. They showed what they can do against the mighty Arsenal, but it was a 90th minute goal. It was these kind of teams. It's always you just want to see them 2-2 draws for this kind of game. Brentford versus Brighton. You just want to see 2-2. Everyone go home. Everyone had a good time. Everyone had entertainment and go home. Like you don't want to see Brentford losing. Like they didn't do anything. They're not Arsenal.
Just innocent kids, man. They're new to the league. No, honestly, like Brentford played really well. Like they had a really good game, and Brighton were fantastic too. But I mean, relative to what the like game that we're watching. But at the end of the day, like late goal, late drama, it's great, man. Premier League's back, fans are back. It's exciting, dude.
Yeah, and I wish Brentford some good luck because they played well at the start of the season. So good luck to them. All right, Southampton.
Over Arsenal.
That was a bit. Yeah, I mean, a small club. Southampton and West Ham. Not the Southampton. West Ham were kind of on the ropes.
For me, like looking at that game, good point for West Ham, man. With a man sent off, 10 men, it's a good point. Southampton are no joke. They're no pushovers. They proved that last season. They've only improved on that. They look a little bit better than last season as well. I think it's a good point for West Ham. And honestly, it could serve them really well going into like the rest of the season. A point like that where they've kind of had to fight and struggle, I think it's really good character building for that team. And I think they needed that as well. They needed a bit of struggle and strife.
I think the point hurt less than Messi Lingard scoring on that day. I think that hurt them a little bit more than the point. Like,
I don't even know his celebration. I'm not really a big fan of that. But anyway, we've left 3 big games all the way to the end. We'll start off with one that hurts a little bit. Leicester versus Man City. 1-0 to City.
this Man City did what Man City has to do. Like this kind of game, you just need to win 1-0, 2-1. You just need to win. This kind of game, you just need to win. Against Newcastle, you need to score 3-4. That's when by the way, with top 6 teams, there's 2 different types of matches, and Man City did what they had to do.
Yeah, 100%. Man City got the job done under difficult circumstances. No game against Leicester is fucking easy. We all know that. I think the most important thing, obviously, for City was going away with the 3 points, but I kind of feel for Brendan Rodgers, man. He's really struggling to beat these bigger teams and these bigger games. He just can't get it over the line. And every time he seems close, it's just by like the breadth of a hair
Fine
where they
margins.
miss a chance, and like it's just really unfortunate. So I think Leicester again, man, maybe not a shoo-in for the top four, but they'll be thereabouts. And if they can string together results like they normally do, I think Leicester will be there and thereabouts. City, imperious, doing what they do. Fuck those guys, man. I fucking hate that team
This
so
is
much.
this is those games you want City to at least drop some points. These are those games because they're not gonna drop against Brentford. They're not Arsenal. They're not gonna but these are those games where you hope Leicester can just pull 1-2 in and make it a game. And it's not Leicester's fault. They're playing against like oil money, bro. What can you do?
True. They had chances. It was a really good game. They had chances to. I think they were unlucky. Let's just put it that way.
And if you have these like top six ambitions, you need to bury at least one out of those three chances in this kind of game. Always, period. That's the thing. At least the draw. Again, no one's asking you to go out and win. Leicester versus City, at least hopefully get a draw, especially when you create chances.
But do you think that Rodgers might be able to build something this season because he won an FA Cup last year? Or does he
Yeah,
need...
absolutely. There's no doubt about Rodgers. He just needs a little bit of time, a little bit of investment, and a little bit of confidence from the boardroom that Yanni, you're not going. We understand you're like a mad scientist. He's Nikola Tesla type of people. You need to give them a little bit of leeway because what they do might look really like crazy, but it might eventually be something brilliant. But you need to give them a little bit of time. And
Gaurav, Gaurav, how do you feel about that?
I don't believe Brendan Rodgers is fucking Nikola Tesla. I'll say that. But
type of people. I said type of people, by the way. Just like there was a couple my ass.
File that in the same fucking basement level, motherfucker. But anyways, he's been our manager, right? So whatever. But I think Brendan Rodgers is a fantastic manager, right? I just think that Leicester need a player or two. They need a player or two that's at the level of I'm not saying another Vardy or another Conte, but they need to bring in someone who's been there, done that, maybe in another league.
That's where that Mahrez was so key, right? The third component, Mahrez was that X factor or wild card.
Yeah, and look, they've got great players in that squad, right? With the likes of James Maddison and Wilfred Ndidi. Yeah, they've got amazing players in that squad, and they're all young. Their core is pretty young. But what I think Leicester's issue is always going to be is, can you add that one bit of quality that would probably rather go to a Chelsea and sit on the bench there, even, or rather go to United or go to Liverpool or, even an Arsenal sometimes, right? Fuck, God knows. But I think that's always going to be kind of Leicester's issues if they can get one of those players. And let's see, man, they're always active in the transfer market, so you wouldn't put it.
They seem to be, they play the transfer market really, really well, but I agree, to attract that star name or that winner, that could change the squad. I mean, just look at what Ronaldo has done to average players. Well, I'm not saying average players at Man United, but Fred, we haven't seen Fred, but let's see if he becomes a little bit more world class. Doubt it. Now, Villa were really unlucky against Chelsea. 3-0 flattered them. What do you guys think?
I'm not convinced by this Chelsea team, dude. I know they won the Champions League, and I still think they're going to challenge for the title, but I think Tuchel's football is fucking dour to watch, right? I don't know how Chelsea fans are fucking putting up with it, but I don't think Chelsea fans care.
I disagree. I
disagree as well.
I really don't like watching Tuchel's team play. Even in the Champions League final, any game that I've seen them play, I haven't really enjoyed the game. But at the same time, I have a massive bias against Chelsea, from way back when. But I think, look, man, Chelsea are going to steamroll a lot of teams just on the basis that they have probably the best striker in the league minus Ronaldo. Right? Lukaku's going to steamroll a lot of defenses by himself. And then you've got all that talent around him as well, Havertz, you've got Well, Pulisic is injured, I think, right now, but you've got Ziyech, you've got Mason Mount, who is just an absolute fucking rock star. I think he's a fantastic player. And, Chelsea are going to be very, very hard to beat this season, and they defend really fucking well, man. What I would say is Villa showed up, and Villa can count themselves a little bit unlucky not to get a point, maybe even fight for the 3 points, because they were pretty fucking good. And I think Chelsea had some fortune in that game. But I think for Villa, it's just, have they adequately replaced the talents of Jack Grealish? I don't think you ever can. But I think they've bought well. And I think they've kind of built around that gap really well. So I'm going to be pretty stoked to watch whatever games they're in, like any big games for sure.
Winning football and entertaining football are two different things. First off, so like you don't have to like what you see, but it can be effective. Greece, Mourinho, we've seen it. Benitez, I would argue Benitez's football is shit to watch, but it wins matches. It does win Champions Leagues even. This Chelsea squad, what Ronaldo has done for United, I think Lukaku's presence has done for Thingy, and it's just he's scoring
He's a
goals
monster.
immediately, and so I think they're supremely balanced. Mendy, more than anyone, their
Wow.
goalkeeper, I thought is the one who was man of the match, and same. I want to add, I forgot this with United. De Gea, we have not talked about. It's unfair to this guy that we only talk about him when he fucks up, but he's had in this season, the last 4 games, he's had 4, 5, 6 really solid saves. But Mendy also, well, like for Chelsea, did supremely, and so I think this squad, they're super balanced. Them versus City is, I think United, again, I will repeat, I think United has the best starting 11, but Chelsea and City have the best starting 15, and I can't decide between who and who.
So look, Tuchel rotated for this game, like the back three really, and he changed some players and he brought in Saul as well. Pulisic, like you mentioned, is injured. I think Lukaku is definitely the difference. I mean, you can see that. Like this is a game that they probably would have lost last season or dropped points for sure. And you've got a monster in Lukaku. He's a brilliant player. He's a brilliant footballer. And I think that as Tuchel really works wonders with his squad. He really brings things together, and now that he's got a big squad, eventually things will start coming into place. So it's still only 4 games into the season, but I think that they're going to be a force to reckon with, personally. Now we're going to move on to the very last game, which is Leeds and Liverpool. I'm going to pass it on to Majid first before I move on to Gaurav, because I know he's got a lot to say about this one. Majid, how did you think about the game? What did you think about the game?
Thankfully Mane scored, because God, like for the last season and a half, for the last season and this little bit, I don't know. He's doing everything right. He's just not scoring, and you can see a lot of it is just mental. There's nothing physical about it. He's just too into his head. And if he hadn't scored today, oh man, I don't know. I would have like that would have been the headline for me, is that they should have won 3-4-0. That goal really was the sort of like, okay, complete win. The tackle, what can
I
I
will.
say? Like
Yeah.
it's a very, very bittersweet day for Liverpool and for football. It's a young guy. It's not like someone who's like so I don't know. It could have it's very, I'm sure there's a classical Greek figure that like explains this, that it's like a good thing and a bad thing would happen. Like you got the 3 points, but there might be longer term issues now suddenly. Because he's young, but he was starting. I think he started
Yeah.
all 4 games, right? So
Yeah.
like, yeah, so like it's not Virgil van Dijk, like thankfully from a Liverpool perspective, but it still
But it's an
is
impact.
sort of like, okay, we got 3 points, but we also like there's another cost to it, like on the balance sheet.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to go back to
But it was an
Mane.
impressive win, and it was a win that this is sort of how Liverpool should win. I actually have question marks about Leeds. I think Bielsa's experiment, the way we're talking about Arteta on the hot seat, I feel we should, because sure, it looks pretty and it works like Gaurav style. It looks really nice, but it's not working going backwards. Clearly, over like we've seen this
Yeah,
time again.
that's just the way Bielsa plays. I don't think that's ever going to change. I think Mane, he was very wasteful, and I was really annoyed when he scored that third goal because now United, Chelsea, Liverpool all level and with the same goal difference. I kind of just wanted to just put Liverpool back down a little bit, but whatever. And look at with Harvey Elliott, I'm going to pass it on to Gaurav, but I wish him well. I wish him a speedy recovery and a very long career at a better club.
Yeah, man, I feel for Harvey. And you could tell like right away. I saw the game live, obviously. So you knew right away, and especially with Salah's reaction, you were just like, "Oh, that's awful! Like that looks like a tear or a break. It looks like a bad injury. Let's hope it's he comes back as quickly as possible because he was great. Like he was dazzling today, and even against Chelsea, he was fantastic. And you're talking about a guy who's 18 years old, just came back from Blackburn on loan. Was Blackburn's star player by all accounts last season in the Championship, and he was such a bright spark for Liverpool as well. And I've been watching all the training videos and stuff, and what you can really see is that there's a lot of like love from the senior players towards Harvey Elliott. Like they clearly see like a lot of potential in him. So like it is sad for Liverpool, right? But I think this also hopefully it won't have a terrible long-term impact. Hopefully he'll be able to come back quick. And obviously he's at the right club because we do persist with players. We do show loyalty to players who have been injured, the likes of Keita, the likes of Van Dijk, the likes of Oxlade-Chamberlain. Liverpool do believe in their players and they do persist with them. So I think he's at the right place. On the game itself, I think Liverpool, after the first 15 minutes, when Leeds were kind of everywhere and kind of swarming them, the atmosphere was electric. It was fantastic. It's basically what you get at Anfield, you got at Ellen Road, right? And Liverpool had to deal with that for like the first 10, 15 minutes. Once we kind of settled in, we started stroking the ball around really confidently. You saw the best that Liverpool has to offer in every way. There were a lot of chances that Leeds got, but every time Liverpool and Leeds play, there are going to be chances both ways. It's just that we create better chances than Leeds do. And honestly, that's exactly what happened today. Sadio has been extremely fucking wasteful for the last season in a few games. Thank fuck he scored. Honestly, the amount of like jokes that were going around on like Reddit and WhatsApp around this guy's like finishing today is just absolutely fucking shocking. But I'm so glad he scored. I'm glad Thiago got an assist. We really dominated that game. To be very honest, like we really dominated that game. There were about one or two Leeds chances that looked dangerous, but on the whole, we kind of contained them really well. We managed their press really well, which I think is always a good sign that Liverpool are doing well, is when they can play under someone else's press and they can play out of that press. And we did that continuously today. So I'm really happy with the way things are going. The season's shaping up really well. We looked like the well-oiled machine that we were missing last year. A lot of those components were working exactly like they should. The sustained pressure, Fabinho hoovering it up, distributing very quickly, balls coming in from the side. It was also more incisive through the middle. So I really liked it. For Leeds, I think Majid's right. It's beautiful, but going back, it doesn't work. And this is something that I think Leeds fans have accepted, that this is just the way Bielsa plays. And this is just the way it's going to be. Whether or not that means, they're going to do very well in the Premier League, I don't know. But I do think Leeds will, I don't think there's any doubt, Leeds will stay up. Leeds are here to stay. This style of play sees them beat a lot of teams really well. Like they do overpower a lot of teams. So I don't think he's going to change his style of play, but I think every time he goes against a really good team, they are going to they're going to leak a lot of goals.
Thanks.
And that's the thing. Leeds, they're bullying. They bully bottom table clubs, but they can't. They get bullied against top six clubs. Historically, they're not. Bielsa is not good against top six. So, when you're saying that Liverpool looked really good, they incisive passing, diagonals, and 1-2s and whatever. Leeds has a penchant for making the opposition look good. United looked really good against
Yeah,
them.
we did. Yeah, opening day of the
Like when
season,
if you can figure
5-1.
out their system, you look like it looks beautiful against them even. And they're
Yeah.
not good going backwards. So I just want to like temper your own expectation that Liverpool might have looked good, but it might be because of Leeds.
Yeah,
Possibly.
absolutely. I completely agree. Look, the way Leeds play, it leaves a lot of space behind, right? And that's something that, Salah and Mane are just fucking craving and almost jerking off to at night. That's their fantasy, right? Is like we'll have space behind. So, that I think, Leeds will play the way they do. Credit for Liverpool for taking advantage of the way Leeds play. I think always keeping a clean sheet against anyone is great, but Leeds especially because they do come at you is fantastic. And I think this isn't a sign of like how we're going to play all season and it's all going to be hunky dory. But I think for Liverpool, it's just a good win away, coming back from an international break. There wasn't a lot of sign of fatigue. It's obviously bittersweet. It's not a perfect night with Harvey Elliott being injured, and obviously wishing him the best. Love that kid. He's fantastic. Yeah, hopefully he's back quick, but good win for Liverpool.
Yeah, just want to touch on one other point. There were some applause from Leeds fans to Harvey Elliott, but there were also some not so great
thanks.
chants.
Yeah, I want to mention this. It was actually, so I saw this live, but I wasn't really sure. And then I went on social media and kind of saw the reports on Bleacher Report and all the other apps and Reddit. And as it turns out, like Harvey Elliott was clapping as he was being stretchered off, and some of the Leeds fans were clapping, but there was also a minority of them that were singing "Always the Victims." In reference to 96 at Hillsborough, and then, the 96 that passed away at Hillsborough, and then even singing afterwards, the 96 won't be missed, which I think is absolutely fucking disgraceful. So I do think Leeds should come out and fucking apologize because they're a classier club than that. You honestly, like, it's this kind of shit has to stop in football, man. Like, the songs about Munich, Hillsborough, the racism, this kind of shit just has to stop. And it's up to clubs to also do something about it and be harsh. So I really hope they do take a stance.
I think Leeds should. There was a while ago, I think, when they were getting promoted from the championship, there was a female pundit who said the break might have helped Bielsa's Leeds because they play at such a high intensity, and that might be why when they came back from Project Restart they managed to get promotion because normally Bielsa's teams burns out. She got a lot of hate. She got a lot of abuse for being a woman, and Leeds' Twitter account was tweeting some of the abuse, and they stood by it. That was really poor from them, and they need to rise up. This is no matter, you can have rivalries against other clubs, and I think that's fair, and I think that's fine. You can always have healthy rivalry. I hate his club, he hates my club, but there are lines that shouldn't be crossed. Not when people have died, not when people get injured. So
Yeah, but the FA and the clubs themselves, it's not difficult to stop this. You issue one rule that says you can't have these 4 or 5 songs, and if they sing them, send security and police in them during the match. What's the big deal? The match is still going to go on. You can do whatever you want in the stands, clearly. Like, if they can sing, you can arrest them. It's not that difficult to clamp down on this. They don't want to.
Yeah.
They don't want to. That's all I can say.
Yep. Well, it needs to go from top to bottom.
And that's the thing, man. Like, what's really annoying about all this is that the authorities don't think it's fucking worth it. Like, what the fuck? What else is worth it? Like, don't you want a clean sport? Like, don't you want a good spectacle that everyone wants to watch? Like, what? Anyways, man, fuck it. That's a topic for another time.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
That's our match day 4 review. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Like and subscribe, and please help us in our quest to have Mourinho go to Arsenal. That's what we really want. All right, so see you guys later, and have a great evening.